Short on space or looking to expand your garden with a stunning new vegetable bed? This bed contains 11 different crops and they're all easy to grow. The best bit, I'll be enjoying the first pickings within a matter of weeks. In this video, I'm going to reveal exactly what you need to do to get speedy harvests with minimal effort. If you're new to all this, please don't worry. I'm going to be sharing everything you need to know, every step to go from bare ground well on the way to bountiful harvests. To keep things simple, I'm using a raised bed kit. Now, this comes with everything I need, even pre-drilled holes, screws and all. But of course, you could make your own using offcuts of wood, and I've done a video on that, which I'll link to below. The kit we're going to put together today uses wood that's been pressure treated with a non-toxic food safe preservative. Now do check that, that's really important. Some wood, especially older timber, may be treated with preservatives that contain all sorts of suspect chemicals, such as, for example, arsenic, and you don't want that anywhere near your food. So do check the wood you intend to use is safe. Okay, so let's get this assembled. And like most raised beds, it's relatively simple, even for someone that's not very practical at all, like me. Now I'm using a square shaped bed today, and it's about 1.2 meters by 4 foot. That means I should be able to reach in from the sides to easily tend and harvest my crops without stepping on the soil itself. To start, I'm just going to screw these kind of side panels onto these corner posts here, which will add a nice bit of rigidity. I've got each of my side panels finished now, all neatly screwed onto the corner plank. I've gone for sort of a relatively high bed. This is 45 centimeters or 18 inches, which will make everything so much easier to kind of look after, just because it's better on the old back. This will look just really super once it's loaded with veggies and pushing out those harvests. And in fact, this is exactly the same as if you were making your own raised bed. It's just these have got pre-drilled holes. Now I popped this onto my lawn here, and it's actually replacing an earlier bed. This will just give it much more presence and general oomph about it. If you were going to put this onto a hard surface, such as a patio or terrace, then I'd consider lining the whole thing with some kind of porous weed fabric, just to stop the soil from washing out at the sides. And then to finish, as an optional extra, I've got this capping to go on the top here. It'll make kind of leaning on the bed or even perching yourself on the side of it that much more comfortable. It's all nicely planed at the corners here to give a nice snug fit. There we go, all done. Now, doesn't that look the business? Now this is a really nice flat piece of ground, which means that I don't have to dig the bed into a slope to get a nice flat surface. And having a flat surface to plant into means that when I water the plants, it won't just all wash off to the side and slosh away. Another important consideration is that this spot here gets plenty of sunshine. Now we're not in the sunniest of climates, although today, it's glorious, and maybe in the mid-60s Fahrenheit or around 15 Celsius, really feels like spring. But when the sun does shine, well, this will get bags of it. And in the summer, it should get at least 8 hours of good sunshine to encourage good, strong growth. What I'm using here is municipal waste compost. So this just comes from garden waste collected and then it's composted down. So it's got a little bit of twigginess to it, but it's actually got really good organic matter, and we'll be adding a little bit of extra organic fertilizer to this once we filled the bed. When filling beds like this, I like to kind of make a game out of it by kind of breaking things up into sections. So for example, timing myself to do like 4 wheelbarrows and then trying to beat it on the next thing keeps me amused anyway. Oh, well, there's nothing like a few wheelbarrows of muck here and there to work up a sweat and an appetite. I'm just going to level it off here, and actually this is quite a deep bed, so I could have got away with filling the bottom half at least with sort of old twiggy bits, prunings and logs and so on. certainly that would be a good way to economise on pricey mix here, but there we go. There, that's looking pretty good, even if I do say so myself. One more thing just to finish it off, some lovely slow release organic fertiliser. For me, this next step, planting things up, is absolutely the most exciting. And I've got a fantastic little treasure trove of young plants here. I've got salad leaves for super fresh salads. I've got like shallots here for juicing up recipes, a selection of herbs, including this parsley with a little ladybug or ladybird I've seen on it, some super nutritious broccoli, and then I've got some strawberries as well, because who can resist? Now, as spring progresses, you'll be able to find more and more wider selection of plug plants in the garden centres and nurseries. Most of these I started from seed myself, except these lettuces here, which I bought this morning because I had some beautiful little lettuce plugs in the greenhouse and they all got eaten by something that had got in there. There's no harm in buying young plants, it's fine, and it means you can get a good head start. To help with spacing everything out, I've actually marked things into 1 foot or 30 centimetre kind of little squares. Just helps with laying everything out. Now, we don't want things to be shaded, so I'm going to put the taller crops towards the back, my back here, and the midday sun's over there. That means that they won't cast shade over the shorter plants in front. So let's lay the tallest plants first. I'm going to start with some broccoli plants here, and I'll put just one in each little square I've made here like that. Next up, some peas. Now these are an early variety of pea that will only get to about 2 foot or 60 centimetres tall, but they can still potentially cast some shade. So I'm putting them towards the back, and I'm going to include some twiggy sticks here to offer them a bit of support just to keep them off the ground. Now I'm just laying everything out first before I go ahead and plant, and that just means I can get a good eyeball of everything and adjust it as necessary before committing. And this is why I really love our garden planner actually. You can plan out your bed and move things around to your heart's content until you get it just so. And I've made a little plan for this bed here, which you can see over here. Next up, my onion family crops, or alliums, and I've got some really fantastically raring to go plants here. Now these were all started from sets or cloves a few months ago, and as you can see they're very much ready to plant. So I'm starting with some garlic here. I can get 4 in that little square, and then I've got some shallots. Now shallots are a little bit daintier than onions, and you get sort of several bulbs in each little from each little set that you plant. So I reckon they're a good choice for a bed this size here. And then for this section here, I've got some little salad onions in little clusters. Now my herbs, some cilantro or coriander. These guys I started off from seed way back in the winter, and they kind of sat there, and now they're burst into life and very much ready to get growing. So in they go. And then I've got some parsley, which I'm going to split up actually. This is from the supermarket and costs a fraction of the price of even a packet of seeds. If I leave it like that, it's not going to thrive, but I'm going to split it up and we'll do that shortly. Then in front of my herbs, I'm going to sow some carrots to cover these 2 squares here. Now carrots don't really transplant very well, so I'm going to sow them direct, and well, we'll get ahead and do that. Then I've got my salads, some radishes, loose leaf lettuce and some beautiful spinach plants. And then finally, for these gaps here, I've got those strawberry plants. Now I'm putting them towards the edge of the bed here so that they can grow out and dangle over the sides, and the fruits can hang temptingly over the sides and catch the sun. They'll look magnificent there. Okay, I think we're ready to go. So first in is the broccoli here. It's already out the little plugs. Make a little hole with my hand, pop it in, firm the soil back, and then just give it a light sort of firm in like that to settle it in place. The second one's going about 1 foot or 30 centimetres apart. Now these will get relatively tall, and they may need a bit of support here because they're kind of on their own, so I can always drive a stake in next to it and tie it if necessary, but probably won't need that. The peas, on the other hand, will need some supporting, but let's plant them first. Now, when getting them out of the plug trays or pots, I just find squeezing the sides and gently pulling like that is usually a great way to get them out. I'll plant the peas first before I jab in the twiggy sticks or pea sticks. The pea sticks will help to hold the peas off the ground just so they really perform their best. These won't need much other care other than regular watering, and then the pods should come thick and fast in about 2 months' time. Next up, this parsley, but if I take the pot off here, you can see it's actually lots of individual little plants. These are really congested and they won't thrive. So although this one plant is suitable for this area, I'm just going to break it up into smaller chunks, maybe kind of 5 or so chunks, and then replant. To sow my carrots, I'm going to make 2 little rows like that, about 6 inches or 15 centimeters apart, and then just sow the seeds nice and thinly in the middle. Now once these come up, I will thin them out in stages. That just means removing the excess seedlings until they're about 1 inch or 2 centimeters apart. And the first kind of roots can be enjoyed quite small as baby carrots, and I can leave the rest to kind of grow on for slightly bigger roots. For my lettuces here, I've chosen a loose leaf variety, and that means I can harvest leaves from the outside just a couple at a time and just leave the plant to continue growing and come back ad hoc to just grab a few more leaves. And this greatly extends the life of this plant so that you get many more harvests in total. And it's kind of similar with the spinach actually. Got 2 little plants here. And then last but by no means least, my couple of strawberry plants. Now these are nicely raised up, so they're well out of the attention of slugs. But if I do want to double guard my strawberries and indeed all my crops in here from slugs, I can always set up some slug traps at the bottom down below beneath the raised bed to intercept them before they ever get up here, but they're somewhat protected up here. Now that's everything planted, so a good water to get everything started. Now the great thing about this bed, of course, is that as earlier crops finish, you can replace them with something else. So for example, the peas here will probably be done in a couple of months or 3, by which time I can plant something else that I'll have waiting in the wings. Something like some cucumbers, for example, or maybe some dwarf or bush beans. That way I can keep those crops coming. If you are using our garden planner, by the way, it will tell you exactly when to sow, plant and harvest your vegetables, which makes planning your succession or follow-on crops all the easier. Spring is rattling along nicely now, but if it's still a bit chilly where you are, you could put something like this cloche over the top to keep things snug while it's still cool, or just something like this fleecy row cover here. Give this a few more weeks and it's going to really fill out and look the business. I'm very happy with that, and I hope you are inspired to try planting your own bed as well. I'll catch you next time.